And then I sat there the other day, I said, I could literally not grow the business. I could stay exactly where I am and I could pay everything, have tens of thousands of dollars surplus every month. I could live very comfortably for the rest of my life because when I was 20, I thought this is where I retired.
So this was the end goal. Yeah.
So you know what I do? I set bigger goals. And now I want $1 billion business, $1 billion brokerage business, and that to get that there is fucking the things that I'm going to have to do and the levels I'm going to have to break through. Was that new levels, new devils? Like I'm going to have to go through shitstorm after shitstorm just to get that because I want yacht rich, baby.
We're told money buys freedom, but does it actually become a trap? Today, we're sitting down with Peter Savage, a man who's leveled up his business, his brand, and his income streams. But what's the hidden cost of success? And what does it take to sustain it? Expect to learn the emotional toll of growth and why success isn't as freeing as it seems, the hidden pressure of influence, expectation, and building a personal brand, and the exact frameworks Peter uses to stay ahead without burning out. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my fucking guy, Peter Savage.
Thanks, buddy.
Since your last episode, you've continued to scale your wealth, your brand, and your influence. But I want to cut through some of the smoke and mirrors today. What's been the hardest moment of the last 12 months that no one saw?
I reckon the hardest, probably the last 12 months, is something I'm struggling with right now. And that's separating myself from delegation and key man risk of the business and trying to bring in new staff members. Man, because that's where you start to go like, fuck, can I even implement tasks where people understand my communication? Because obviously at our level, most of us are visionaries. Trying to have someone that can break down tasks and communicate that, you start to get a bit of like imposter syndrome heaps bad because you actually don't even know like, fuck, I can't even explain this. But that's where, you just got to be able to trust the system on the hires, slowly progressing through the different ranks. Like lucky I've got Terry as the operational. She's like my interpreter of what's in here to what comes out the other side. So that's probably my biggest challenge I'm doing right now is just delegating and just trusting it's going to be okay. And as like a trade-based business, that's the number one thing is quality control. How can you trust someone to do a job in your business that they just want to go home? So it's the same. It's for every business. It's just trusting everyone around you to do their job.
Do you think that stems from the fact that you started the company, people want to work directly with you, they call you directly? Is that where the not necessarily imposter syndrome component comes from, but the feeling of not wanting to relinquish some of that responsibility?
It's something I've been planning since we started the business because I was putting my number on shit. I'm like, fuck, I can't be that guy because I watched other people who were the key person in their thing. And I was literally at the start of my business, I was designing the branding and I put my mobile number on there and I'm like, fuck that, I've heard too many people win. So I didn't put my mobile on there. So I was already planning this, but now I've built this personal brand around Peter Savage, Savage Money. It's a huge problem because there's only so much time for me to go around. And that's where you try to separate like, well, what are we actually delivering to our clients? It's the outcome. No one gives a fuck about the process. They just want the wins. So now we're at that point where we're starting to go, what does the business look like where, sometimes, you don't get me on the first call. And then, but then I'm going, but then you don't get the experience. You don't get it. But it's like at the end of the day, like if you want to get to that $1 billion a year brokerage, I've got to work out like, how do I protect my time and use it for my best ROI for my clients? Because if you spread yourself too thin, everyone's getting a shit experience.
Are you finding that because you are the key person, you are doing less of actually delivering the service and spending more time creating content?
The goal, like I try to vision the end. Like, what is it like? What does the perfect day look for Peter Savage down the future? My ideal day is just initial, like talking to clients up front and you're selling them an outcome and all the other stuff is just admin. And right now I'm still in the business and I'm probably about 2 to 3 months away from being out of the business from a loan processing side. But we've been doing this, like this has been a plan for like the last 9 months. So I was already thinking about getting out of the loan writing like in my first year of business. So it's taken that long to get here, and every step of the way, it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You bring in a new staff, you instantly add 20 times more problems. If you're people who try to hire when they're busy, shoot themselves in the fucking foot because you need to now do that task 50% slower so you can get the same outcome. So as you're doing it, like I always feel like I'm ahead and I'm like, cool, I'll hire a loan processor. Probably should have done it 6 months before. Now I'm at that point where as much as everyone thinks that I'm always on the ball, I'm pushing hard, I'm reactive, I've only just hired someone else to do my content 3 months ago. And as soon as I did that,
sitting there on CapCut, editing everything.
I did every video on CapCut because no one could, someone told me this, if I make a video, that's 10 person's job, 10 people's job. because like it's not just the content, and then someone's going to follow up the lead. Like there's so many moving hats in just what I can do in 10 minutes to an hour, and you just got to look at the ROI. So now you know exactly what it's like. You do 3 to 4 hours of filming, you get 15 videos. Now I just remove that, and you know what? They're not exactly how I want them. And you know what? If I don't like it, I can't even be fucked replying saying I don't like it. I'm like, it'll do. If it's 80% of the job, 80% of the time, it's fucking okay. And that way I just look at them, I can't say that. Can't say that as a finance broker. I'm like, we better change that. But
going outside of the bounds a little bit.
Yeah. So it's just being okay. Look, it's not perfect, but it's okay. We'll do the next one a little bit better. And you know, now that I've removed the content a little bit, it's still within my brand guidelines a little bit. It's given me a bit more time back. But then what that's done is it created more business. 300% growth in leads in January alone. So we went to usually doing 15 to 20 in a month. The first month after doing the content, I went to fucking 55 recorded conversations in 35 days. And the only difference is, I think it's because I was posting every day. And I was posting new content every day. And I was just like, fuck. So that fixed one problem. It just created another fucking problem. And then now I've got like a loan processor and someone who does the back end and helps write the deals, takes them to settlement. And you know what? Yes, they're offshore, but those staff, their fucking communication skills are next level. And it's their sole job to take the client from approval through to settlement. So just doing those things just gets you more time back. But then you just go fuck the system up and go get more business. You're just continuously just moving from one end
cycle
to the fucking other. So it's, you can't complain when the goal was to eat.
The world sees our wins, yours in particular, because you're so social. But the game of success, it brings us this pressure that most people don't understand. What's a moment where you genuinely felt the weight of the pressure to succeed, and how did you handle it?
$10,000 a month mortgage.
Just check.
Bought a fucking supercar.
I think we both went down the same scenario and bought a new house and thought, it's a sink or swim time.
You know what? Predominantly most people, human behavior, perform best from pain. You know, so you move away from pain to pleasure. And someone who's successful, usually sabotage just gets into fucking, once they've got money they never had it, cocaine, fucking hookers, strippers, they'll fuck their lives up. You know, it happens a fair bit in trade-based businesses. Marriage falls apart, kids hate them, and they go back, they start, and they always perform better from nothing. So a lot of people perform from pain. As much as I am probably decades in front of everyone else by hanging around the right people, I still operate better from pain because it's your driver. So like when I first bought that home, like fucking I'd wake up some days and I'm like, fuck, what if I can't create more business? I know I can. But
that's the voice that says, that's your, right. What you say, your little bitch voice.
That's my little bitch voice saying, well, you can't make your mortgage. Because you know the biggest thing about buying the Audi, and the worst thing that can happen to you is, look, I could fucking lose the business, lose the homes. You know what the worst part is? Imagine if you got your car repoed. Like the biggest fear is like losing something. And I put my goals out there, putting my goal up. I think I posted it a few months ago, like to get a Lambo. This is my goal. I put it on my story. I didn't even want to press post because I'm thinking, fuck, if I hit the goal, I'll buy the Lambo. If I don't hit the goal, I'll buy the Lambo. But
you will hit the goal eventually.
Putting that goal, actually, I'm probably going to smoke it anyway. But putting that out there, people to see it, keeps me accountable because someone's going to remember. Mm-hmm. So like just setting...
You're putting a level of your pride on the line, aren't you?
And you know what? And as much as my brand is, like at the end of the day, like my job's to transfer energy. I get people excited about what's possible. So if I've got a trade-based business and he's surrounded by fucking bean-counting cunts and people who are giving advice that you wouldn't swap places with, why the fuck would I listen to that cunt? That's the kind of mentality. So my job is, if I can start a business and I'm in my 3rd year and we'll probably do 7 figures this year as a fucking mortgage broker, and my target audience is 35 to 45-year-old tradies, kids, they know they should be buying property. They don't know why they should be paying tax. My job's to transfer energy to them that you can actually fucking do it with the right team.
It's that mortgage component. It's extending ourselves to the point where we have to sink or swim.
So doing all that with my branding, you know what? Like, there's a very fine line between me and some cunt selling e-commerce courses or fucking selling crypto forex courses. There's that kind of flashy kind of look what I've done, but the people that it resonates with are tradies, because most of the day, most tradies, you didn't get into business to fucking get more time back. You got back into business because you wanted more than life. Whoever hasn't run a business thinks you get time back, but we wake up every day and just deal with fucking people's problems every fucking day. So you got to get up, get beaten up, go back to bed, do it all again. Some days I wake up and thinking, fuck, why do I do this? And then I get in the R8 and I'm like, this is all fun.
But things get easy and then we go fuck it up ourselves.
I said this the other day, like I pushed the boundaries and bought that fucking house because I fucking just wanted it. I bought the car. And then I sat there the other day, I said, I could literally not grow the business. I could stay exactly where I am and I could pay everything, have tens of thousands of dollars surplus every month. I could live very comfortably for the rest of my life because when I was 20, I thought this is where I retired.
So I could do the end goal. Yeah.
So you know what I do? I go set bigger goals. And now I want $1 billion business, $1 billion brokerage business, and that to get that there is fucking the things that I'm going to have to do and the levels I'm going to have to break through. Was that new levels, new devils? Like I'm going to have to go through shitstorm after shitstorm just to get that because I want yacht rich, baby.
We're gunning for Mark Boris here, aren't we?
Yeah, fuck Yellow Brick Road, whatever it is.
Wizard Home Loans. Oh, okay. People think that this passive income game is just a dream. But with more wealth comes more decisions and bigger decisions. What's a money mistake that forced you to rethink how you play the game?
Fucking cunts who buy property for yield.
Explain, elaborate.
Like someone will come to me, self-employed. If you're self-employed, you can make more money. If you're in a PAYG job with a salary, you cannot buy as much property as you want. If you're self-employed, you have the ability.
On a serviceability basis?
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's a debt. There is a multiple of debt to income. Of your income, you can have debt. So a self-employed person comes to me and they're like, I want to buy a yield play property. I want to buy this. I'm like...
And elaborate, that's like an apartment, a unit, a strata.
Yeah, so you buy a lower price property in a regional area with a higher rent return to get a positively geared property. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people do that and I'm like, cunt, you're self-employed. I was like, why do you need serviceability? They said, just do a cashier on the weekend. There's your fucking cash flow. Like it doesn't fit. So people get there.
The guys listening, we don't do cashiers on the weekend, all right? We run it through the books.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, this is not financial advice.
Yes, pay your taxi, dodgy cunts. From that is people's perception of investment is based off other people. But like when people talk about passive income, so you don't even need passive income until you're fucking near retirement. Like you should be trying to buy good properties every so often in decent areas that are going to appreciate over time. That doubling every 7 to 10 years. I think over the last 50 years it's about 6 to 8%. You should be buying good quality properties, and you should be thinking about passive income in your 40s and 50s because you can trade in those assets to get higher cash flow commercial properties. So when someone wants like a perception of I want this, they actually haven't thought it through because you might have a high yielding property where it's positively cash flowed, but the rent is shaded because if you get a yielding property, there's something wrong with it. It's in a fucking shit area, and there's a reason that fucking the richest people in Australia don't park their wealth in fucking Mildura. Mm-hmm. So if you've got a high yielding property, you shade that rent by its postcode, you might lose 30%. And then the interest rate's buffered by an extra 3%. You've just lost your cash flow. So you're buying these properties in shit areas for a cash return to put money in your pocket that you're going to have to pay tax on. But generally you just sacrifice fucking capital growth. And
something that if shit turns around, you can't really offload as well.
Because 0% of fuck all is zero. So if you get a property that doesn't grow, you don't get fuck all. Now, that's not for everyone. That's for myself. That's my tradies. That's where you should be buying negative,
it's for nice, true blue Aussie blokes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Normal dudes.
But if you're on a lower salary and you want to build a portfolio, you might have to buy those properties because it's all you can afford, which is a part of your strategy. But everyone just gets Bob at the Barbie's advice, and you got to do this, you got to do that. And I always say, if you wouldn't swap places with the cunt, do not fucking listen to him.
Okay, frame it for me. Bob at the Barbie. What is his stereotypical shit advice? What does he say?
First thing he says, house prices. Oh, I bought my house for $17,000. I said, yeah, why is your mortgage $400, cunt? So how many fucking French Bulldogs and VH Commodores did you buy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, everyone out there thinks they're a property investor because they've got a house over their head. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not the case. There's a reason people stop at 1-2 properties because it's actually, property investment is a business. Mm-hmm. So you've actually got to put a plan in place over a set period of time. And you know what? People expect to build a portfolio in 1 to 2 years. Like, a good portfolio, you might be able to buy 1 or 2 in the first year because you'll max your equity, but the rest of the plan is over 5, 10, 25 years. If you bought one property every 5 years, that's very boring, but you made a good decision when you can, when possible, you will retire in the 1% just by making a good decision every 5 years. And property investment is fucking boring. That's why it's called passive investing. Buy the property, get the property report. Oh, they didn't burn it down. Cool. Get back on with life. Yep. You cannot sit there and sit on Facebook and just comment on every fucking post about property investment. Just buy a good fucking property. And if you don't know what you're doing, get a buyer's agent. Mm-hmm. Like, just surround yourself with people to make the decisions.
Are you talking from experience here? Because we've got edging on the money mistake piece. Did you make any fumbles early on?
Yeah, I bought a house turnkey off the plan.
Oi,
And
textbook investment.
Luckily, Joey was with me. He's like, bro, that house didn't even have an aircon. And I quickly messaged him, I need an aircon thrown in. Like,
was that your first property?
Yeah, I bought my first property. I didn't know what the fuck. You know, I was 24 at the time, and I just walked in, bought the property, and I was like, yep, cool. You know what? It didn't fucking grow in value for fucking 10 years, and luckily I sold it after COVID. So, you know what? Really, it probably did a median return over that time, but I probably paid a little bit too high, made a mistake. But along that way, I just got better, invested time in myself, bought better properties, built up a large portfolio. But then I lost it through divorce, so I had to start again. And you know what? I've almost doubled that in 2 years.
It forced you to reset and rethink.
Yeah. And I've done literally doubled that portfolio in the space of almost 30 months.
Nice. What about at a certain point, the people around you just don't level up? No, this one's going to come to you. And some of them get left behind. They just can't cope with what we're doing. Have you had to cut people out to keep growing?
Someone said this on the interview podcast the other day. You don't get to that situation where you cut people off. They just get the point. And it's not to be rude, but you know when you catch up with a friend and the number one thing they say is, go to the pub. Who the fuck goes to the pub? You're surrounded by cunts who whinge, generally on a pay slip, and that's all they do. So you just, it's a gravitational thing. You go through levels in life. And you know what I've noticed as well? If you look at billionaires, CEOs, they've gone through 5 to 6 marriages. They've fucking leveled up along the whole way. Probably because they weren't in sync with their relationship, but they weren't unison. So that's where you see old school mindsets. They just level up, shed, and they probably went through that same thing, got money, fucked it up, got money. And you can see that at every level of every like business, and everyone is successful has got major fuck ups along the way. So when you kind of get to that level where, you know, right now, like I get people like, hey, we should catch up. I mean, fuck, I don't even see my best mates. Like you want to hang out with me, like talk about business, because that's.
I've started screenshotting people my calendar and just being like, not going to happen. Like, wait till 3 weeks time, 4 weeks time.
When you get to that point where you've got a goal to work towards, you've got, especially when everybody who resonates with us, our clients, our friends, we're all in the same boat. We're trying to do great things with great people. We've got family, so you've got to work and you've got to go home. You'll probably get 1 to 2, maybe 3 times a month where you can actually go out and see people. You need a high ROI from that experience. You want to be left better from that dinner or whatever it is than you started, and you need to have some sort of value. Otherwise, you will sit there, and you know when you're in there, you sit there and you're like, fuck, I want to go home. You know when you're with the people, because if you're not with your people, you're going to be looking at your clock and you're going to go, fuck, this conversation's going nowhere, because nothing's worse than catching up with someone. So, so what's your goals this year? None. Conversation over. Like, what are you going to talk about?
If that's almost a
that's the epiphany right there.
Question, isn't it? A screening question. What are your goals this year? And that I had a friend say to me that people don't have goals, and I thought, cool, all right, page out of the book, we're done.
It's funny you said that, because someone I know through the gym said the other day, is like, want to catch up, we want to talk. At the end of the day, I fucking write loans, but my passion is business advisory. I love business. I love self-development. I love anything that's got to do with motivation and stuff like that. Just being the best version. And someone reached out, he's like, look, I really want to sit down and talk about my goals, where we are, what we can do, and all that kind of stuff. And then I said, oh yeah, no worries. And he's like, but my missus just don't think, like, she doesn't know why I would catch up with you to do that. She doesn't know why we need to map out our goals. I'm like, I don't know what you're selling it to her, but like, why would you not want to plan where you're going? That's like just jumping in the car and driving here without the nav on. So I just don't understand why would you not want to? You can't have a business plan, like a business without a business plan. So why the fuck would you like go through life just fucking winging it?
Hoping for the best.
I'll tell you how they turn out. Fucking 65 no super with a mortgage. I've got a few of them.
Let's hold it up for a moment. Lots of guys are going about the game of business alone, and it can be a really lonely journey. I talk with hundreds of founders who go through the very same scenario. And from time to time, we find the right guy and the right business, and I decide to invest in that. If that's something that you're interested in, shoot me a message on Instagram and we can take up the conversation. Now let's get back to the show. Okay, freedom sounds great, but most entrepreneurs get trapped. Do you ever feel stuck inside what you've built?
I've never met a person who's free. Only person on Centrelink is free.
What's the quote? None are more hopelessly enslaved than those that falsely believe they're free.
There is like once you've created something, you have to fucking show up every day. And then I'm starting to realize that now we're at like 8 people. Like you can't just like, what I notice is more is once you actually start to hit that level of success, you've got to, you're not just showing up for yourself anymore, your kids, your family. You've got to show up for everyone in the team that believes in you.
Like comes beyond you, doesn't it? Because you put food on other families' tables.
That's it. Like we were just talking about, like, you know, we're building a team out in the Philippines. We're like, well, you know, we need to start, you know, say like things like what it's important to them. Like, you know, maybe like once a month, you know, we give them like, we get someone to coordinate, you know, dinners for their family. Like you got to start thinking about, you need, like at the end of the day, most people don't leave jobs, they leave managers. So people need to be, they'll stick around, like money puts food on the table, but you'll never work someone you don't like unless you're trapped. So like we want to create a place where people are fucking pumped to fucking come. You know what? And yeah, it's very hard. Like I'm at that stage where I'm about to start thinking about bringing brokers in. And that's going to create a new level of dedication to not just training, because some of these brokers have probably been in the industry longer than me, but they're stuck. They've got issues. They need to work past. They need someone like me to help them get to that next level. And that's going to require more time. And I'm thinking, fuck, like everything's going to require more time.
But that's going to scratch your want or desire for coaching and mentorship and advisory, because you'll have your own group of rah that you can motivate and get them moving.
You're correct.
You're going to get fulfillment from that alone.
After a few, like recently I've done a few speaking things in front of people and I fucking frothed it. I love education, coaching, mentoring. That is the best stuff ever. And you know, probably about 6 months ago, probably didn't feel like what value can I add? But now I think about it like, what value can I add? No one's doing what I'm doing. Like there's probably 4 to 5 people in my industry. You know, there is 22,000 brokers in Australia. There's probably fucking 10,000 great ones. But you don't know it. No one does what I do. No one's out there. No one can talk fluent tradie.
And no one's going to put themselves out there as well.
Nah. That's why you don't see many driving yachts.
Okay, I want to poke on the external, the outsourced team. I've watched you and I've listened to you today as well change or talk more about leveraging your time, getting other people in, not just direct employed staff like in the office, but the people in the outsourcing world. Tell me about how to navigate outsourcing.
The number one thing before you're thinking about bringing someone in is you've got to understand the mindset shift of why you can't. Most people say, I don't have the money to hire staff. For some reason, and I get this from trade-based businesses, as soon as you say an 80K salary, I don't have 80K. So you fucking retarded. You don't give them 80K lump sum. That is what is it? It's probably about $1,600 gross or something. I don't fucking know. So it's say it's $1,600 a week. So if you need to bring someone on, I would say you need about probably 10 to 12 weeks worth if you've got the balls to do it, because you should get an ROI from that person within 3 months.
Definitely.
So I was literally in my business. I was barely making money, and I asked Terry to quit your job, come work for me. I didn't have the money. But within a month of my business, I stopped doing admin. So the ROI is high. Well, you need to work out your effective hourly rate. So I sat there, I did a little exercise. I worked out, what do I want to make in my first year it was. And I think I worked out, I divided that, it was working out $500 an hour. Mm-hmm. Anything less than that needs to be outsourced. But you know what? It still took me 2 years to do it. So it's just, you got to find that right time. And also you got to actually understand what the roles are.
What was the first role that you decided to outsource? Because that's like cutting the tape down. Once you've opened that up, you know how to do it.
And as much as people lean on us for this kind of education, I was against offshores till about 4 months ago. Because I didn't have a concept where someone overseas could even be in a position to do the job better than me.
Yep.
And then I met the right person and they showed me what's possible. And then I realized Philippines is on the same time zone. They actually do this 10 times better than us. They are faster than us. And they would love to work for Australians, same time zone. We pay well and we're just great cunts.
Spot on. Just great.
We are. Australians are great to work for. And they are very like data-based, admin-based, and the finance industry, accountancy, all of them use the Philippines because they're just good at what they do. So we had me and Lachlan in the office and he was still doing 85% of admin, but we just didn't think that we wouldn't even have to hand it over. We had this foreign concept of how it actually worked. But when we brought an advisor into the business, he showed us how it worked, and it was so simple that they actually just plugged into our CRM and we just handed over with an email and we created a process in the stuff, and all they do is follow the bouncing ball. So someone says something about an offshore, they hit a roadblock, they don't know what to do next, just because the bouncing ball wasn't clearly defined. They need to follow instructions. So we created a system of our business. We had all our roles, and it was all separated, and then it was just this role had these checkboxes for these different things, and they pass along. Once you define that role, find the person, this is your role, they do the role. There's a handover, that's it. And once we broke it down, we're like, fuck, the second we got one, we hired another one 3 weeks later. And now we're trying to hire another one. And we just hired one again. So we've gone it'll be 4 hires within a 4-month period because we had a concept of what it was, but it was totally different. Because well, if everyone else in the industry is using them, it has to be easier than we think. It just seemed foreign at the time.
What's the process to find them? Because I've had some really, really shit experiences. I'm not dissimilar to your timeline in only recently have I found, onboarded, and still using a EA or VA that I've actually been like, wow, this is great. Because prior I was going to Upwork and I was getting shit. Where do you go? How do you find them?
So you pretty much went to Craigslist then.
Yeah. I was on Facebook Marketplace.
So we wouldn't have been able to done it. Or like our industry has companies that can do it, and you're paying like, I think some people are paying like $2,500-3,000 a month for a VA, maybe up to $4,000.
Yep.
Now they still just hire them, and you've got to do them. So a lot of people just get the offshore person, and they don't actually understand how to implement the tasks. So
So you went through an agency that has got experienced people in your field, made it a whole lot easier to plug them in instead of grabbing someone with no experience and teach them everything from the ground.
Correct. So I found someone within my industry who helped a broker who's $1 billion broker, and I reached out to him, and he goes, I said, who's the fastest person to get me to X? So for me, it's just like any other trade-based businesses. Go find the biggest company you can, ask them how they did it. Just that's it. Find the path of least resistance. So I went and spoke to a broker. He showed me how his business looks from the inside. I go, cool, who's the guy to speak to that? He gave me the name, I went to him. And I just said, all right, this is what I want to do. And he goes, this is what I offer. He's on a retainer, and he helps build my process out. He goes and finds them directly. There's no initial cost. He goes through 100 people, narrows it down to 3, puts them in front of me. He gave me an IT person who was 1/5 the cost of my original one. So he gave me his lead. So it's just connections the whole way. Yep. So I got the IT company. He finds them. He gives me 3. We pick one. And then the IT company, they go in and got the laptop. They send it to them. They do all the security. They do the onboarding. They do the training. So instead of trying to do it yourself, I just pay someone a retainer to do it. Yep. And he's an advisor in my business going forward. And as things progress, he just does it again. Put someone in front of me today, an EA. This EA was off the fucking charts. Like, she is a fucking animal. She was questioning my process. And I said,
unpack it for me.
Hi.
Because there are so many people that could use that role, that extension of you, somebody to make you more efficient, not just handing off bookkeeping and admin, but somebody who is another back-end you.
And there is a lot of people in this industry who could be an advisor into your business. Like there is like trade-based businesses. Like the number one thing is, I can't, I can't hire people. It's hard to find good people. I said, yeah, well, the person who's leading your industry was a one-man band at one stage. So it's like
to answer that question when someone's like, I can't find good people. There's no such thing. It's not going to work. But okay, if that's true, then no one has ever grown a company ever before.
Your opposition's killing it. And that's where it just comes down to the mindset. You have to pay to play. Coaching, advisors, you just got to trust the process. And you know what? You got to shit the bed you're in there.
Yep. Everyone shits the bed every now and then.
That's it. This was all built on, wasn't it?
Okay. You're pushing the needle, pushing things as hard as humanly possible by the sounds. We're leveraging ourselves at times and then increasing our leverage. If you lost it all today and you only had your knowledge, how would you start again?
Well, I already have, didn't I? I went through a divorce and lost the whole portfolio. So I had to start.
If we had to do it at 3.0.
If I had to do it 3.0, you know what?
Would you do it exactly the same as you've done this time around?
Oh, I'll do it in a year.
Okay.
And you're funny, you just said, for someone who's pushing the needle, probably the last 6 months, I feel like I'm not. I feel like I'm probably sitting about 40 to 60%. I don't know why. I'm feeling like I'm not. And I don't know what.
Have you reached this point? I've reached this point previously because I can talk from the emotional side where you now have things, whether they are tangible or intangible, but you have things that you feel responsible to protect, which reduces some of your risk.
I used to say the Viking mentality. When you fucking rape and pillage new land, you burn the ship so you can't retreat. I don't feel like I'm fucking raping and pillaging right now. I feel like I'm in preparation mode for the next bit. I feel like I'm protecting what I've got now.
Stocking the ships at the moment.
And I think that's more around building the team out. My reoccurring income from the business, we call trail, that's quite getting large now. It's like a security factor because I feel like there's that next level coming where I'm going to go even harder and push a bit harder. But I feel right now I am more of create a security blanket, which feels like being a little bitch, I suppose. But I've been
Let's rephrase it to stacking cash.
Nah, because fucking if I get cash, I'll keep investing it. It's not the cash side of it. It's more, I think I'm just really dug down in the systems and processes right now, because I think my next leg is going to be more the educational stuff, and that's where like I'm limited by how many mortgages I can write, which I've already worked out that even if I'm doing $500 million a year, I've already seen my income cap potential, and I didn't like it. So there's other areas I want to work on where it's scalability and risk, and it's going to take a bit of time from the business, but the back of that is going to create even more leads. So I'm trying to think of like, how can I build the team right now? Because I don't want to go push to that next level and let everyone else down. So I'm kind of probably got my business, like my owner hat on a little bit more at the moment, because we've got to a nice bit, just trying to prep the foundations to build the skyscraper.
Well, with a bigger brand comes bigger expectations. You're going to get more eyes, more opinions, and more pressure. Has your personal brand ever felt like a weight on your shoulders?
Not a weight as such. I think this comes down to key man risk. There's going to be a point where I'm trying to think about how do I separate myself as Peter Savage from Savage Money? Because if I can't always be that guy. So it's like trying to separate where Savage Money is a brand. So there'll be a point where you call Savage Money, but you don't talk to me, because I think the key bit is start to bring the right people in who can be also in the videos and create a brand that's just bigger than me. Because at the end of the day, I can't talk to 100 people in a day. So I think my bit comes to education and teaching people around me to deliver the same kind of service, because at the end of the day, Savage Money will be the brand, and you know I want that on the side of buildings like fucking Pilates. You know what
I mean? People respect your success, Pete, but they don't see that internal shift that happens when you do level up. How has success changed you in ways you didn't expect?
It's funny because like starting the business, it was really focused on like, I just want to make, like, I want to do this to make money. Once you get to a certain level, it doesn't matter what, it's all the game then. Like it's irrelevant. As long as you can pay the bills, you just keep pushing. Then you start to look at the non-materialistic stuff, which is the brand itself, what you can create, the legacy.
The feeling, the fulfillment.
That's it. Like there gets to a point where there's a certain crossover where it's like, cool, live a comfortable life if I fucking take the foot off, but I'm not going to do it. So there is that kind of fulfillment where it's like, cool, now it's like, it's probably tying into the stage where I'm trying to protect what I've got now. So that's like, that is the base. Protect that so I can go hard, because that means I don't have to worry about financial pain anymore. So now I'm on the other side of that. I could probably go a little bit harder, and there's less financial risk as well. Because growing up, money was always a source of pain. So if I can remove that pain for everyone around me, then I can probably go a little bit harder in the business, and that's where the scalability will come from, because I don't have to worry about the week to week, the month to month.
And then if you keep putting pressure on yourself, keep growing, keep leveling up, then you don't fall into that trap of like, things are easy, now I'm going to destroy it.
Exactly. It's just more about like, you know, consistently posting videos, like just consistently growing the brand, you know, like on a national level, and just being fucking everywhere.
I definitely watch all of your reels. I reckon I'm your number one biggest fan. I have noticed that the bleeping is increasing. It's, hi, I'm Pete from beep, 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 beep.
Wait, I'm at a crossroads, right? Do I stop swearing or do I just don't bleep? Because
you're the only broker in the country or the world that is actually being authentic.
Yeah, and I just don't know, like, I don't want to bleep, but it's like, well, what point where, as we're starting to, like, the videos, you know, I think we're doing between, like, views per month across all of Instagram. It says, like, between 600,000 and 700,000 across stories and reels and stuff like that. It's like, fuck, if that many people are looking at the impressions, I'm like, how has no one even fucking reported a fucking video? Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing. Like,
see, this is that little bit of risk that's sneaking in.
I know, but the bleeping's annoying. So I don't know.
It's the way of my content.
But then also, like, just using swearing at the right times to accentuate, because it's like there's like cunt and cunt.
Yeah. There's emphasis behind a word.
It just drops a barrier of something like, oh my God, this guy knows what I'm talking about. Because nothing's worse than sitting across from someone who's just speaking like this about this is your home loan. And I'm just like, fuck that shit. Like, I'm just a normal person who just has big goals. And I got into finance purely because I couldn't fucking borrow myself. So I was like, I need to know leverage. I need to know, because wealth creation is just finance of houses thrown in. That's all it is. Finance is everything. How many business owners I've sat with turning over $10, $20 million, and they don't even know how to read their financials. They don't even know what that means. So their accountant dictates their financials, but the accountant doesn't know lending. I was like, if you sit with them,
forgets that it's your money.
The wording, the way they've structured it, the way they're being creative, and at the end of the day, their job is to reduce the tax. My job is to give them a reason to pay tax. And there's a certain point, like if you're set up in the right way in a company, Who gives a fuck if you make $1 or $1 million or $10 million at 25%? Really, just fucking pay the tax. Like, and if you've got to pay the tax, use it to invest to do more shit. Like, I don't know. There's a few, it just comes around to what do people want out of their business anyway? Because I always say, well, like, I love working with like tradies who are working for someone else, but they've got goals. I said, look, cool, let's work some clear goals out. We'll talk about you going out on your own. You know, once your ABN resets, then we've got to, like you start an ABN or a company, we can't borrow for a while. Let's maximize what we can do. Let's give you a buffer. Then let's talk about the right structures, talking to the right accountant, getting them ready to go off and start their business. And that happens a fair bit actually. And I enjoy doing that because it gets them the right way. Because if you listen to the accountant will go, oh, just go through a sole trader. 3 years go by, they're fucking paying 48% tax.
You talk to one of the big four and they'll tell you that you can't loan because you've got too many companies open at the same time.
Oh, and you know what? And it's just the right advice because at the end of the day, your accountant's job's to clean up your mess. They can't fucking see what's coming.
Yeah.
And then half of them don't even work their own businesses. So why the fuck are they giving business advice? Like just because you got a diploma doesn't mean you should be giving advice.
Still on this personal brand component, Pete, a lot of guys really struggle to put themselves out there, and you are leading the way and being an inspiration for them to be more of themselves. What's the biggest mistake that most people make, and what keeps them stuck?
It always comes down to everything you say is just mindset. Because if you actually get clear on what you want and how you're going to get it and your ideal client, life gets so much better. Like if you're in a trade-based business or any sort of business and you're just trying to get any sort of business, you're going to bring on a shit client is easier to get than a good client. But if you keep saying yes to the shit clients, you're not going to see the good clients. So once you get super clear on your boundaries as a business, life just gets so much fucking better. And then you don't waste time. Like you just focus on your good clients. Like all my videos, I'm talking to a trade-based business between 25 and 35. You know
your avatar.
They are, because you know what? They pay their bills. They're fucking, and you know what? They usually, a tradie to go out on his own has got a bit of fucking balls. They're usually cut from the same cloth. They like all the high performance
like us,
stuff.
Pete. You dress like us.
They
what of us? What of us?
They didn't go out on their own to work for 40 years to fucking just have a paid off Navara and fucking
as well.
Yeah, like no one gets into business for that. And generally, you're 3 to 5 years in. They've gone through 3 brokers, 3 accountants, and they're just like, I'm just going around in fucking circles. Like my job's to show them that there is a better way. You need to find the right team and give them a reason to pay tax. And then, like, how many businesses I've met, and then within 2 to 3 years, they're now turning over 6-figure profits. They're in a company. They've got 3 or 4 properties, and all I did was give them the right fucking information, and maybe give them a better accountant. Like most people lean on their accountant for advice. That accountant, most of them don't actually think outside the box. They'll just answer your questions. And sometimes I'll go, I'll ask them this, and they'll come back and they'll say it. Oh, that's a good idea. And then even the client's like, why didn't you fucking think of that?
You're the professional.
Yeah. Like it's a reoccurring thing. But you know that we'd have much better advice in the industry, like mainly accountants, if they charge like a lawyer. If it was fee for service, accountants would give fucking far better advice.
I've heard you say that before, hey?
It is very hard to find good advice as it being, you know what? Because they're fucking flooded by fucking 50 million cunts doing fucking $200 tax returns. How are they going to give good advice?
Yep.
And then everyone's like, oh, that accountant's expensive. I said, fuck it, don't get a cheap accountant. They're more expensive.
Because they think about their ideal client. If they're doing the tiny tax returns, the individual tax returns, what do they know about the bigger game?
And coming back to the personal brand, once you actually work out who your target audience is, being accountable and working out like, well, that job, you know, if you actually crunch the numbers, if you don't know the numbers, you don't know the leaky bucket, you might be doing work that actually is not the highest ROI. There may be better jobs out there. So if you don't understand your numbers, and then once you understand your numbers, your ideal client, you get more authentic with the clients in front of you because you know they are your right client. If you don't know if every client's a flaker or not, once you can, what's the word?
Once you can
once you can identify your ideal client, there is a better transfer of energy. You'll get more deals. You just got to work out who are not your ideal clients.
I'm going to stop you right there for a moment. If this has got you thinking about your own business, then you're not alone. I work with managing directors all around the country to grow their business. We focus on growing your pipeline, building your team, and developing consistent profit. If this is something you're interested in, shoot me a message on Instagram, and let's get back to the show. Now, Pete, I've been talking to Terry. Disclaimer, this is Pete's wife, and she has shared some insights with me about what kind of fucking gentleman you are in the house.
She fucking She would have said good shit because I just bought her a fucking diamond tag for a wedding present. So,
But it's not all about the material things, is it?
yeah,
Peter?
but you asked her 2 hours after she fucking got it.
Loves it.
She would have wrote glowing shit right now.
In Terry's own words, she says, he is a role model. He is the best. Our kids get to witness how much he loves me every day. Why is it important to show and model this for your children?
That's a fucking well done, Terry, because this is something we think about because obviously my mum and dad were separated since I was 2. He was not really much of a father figure more. He was just like, wasn't there as much. So one thing that we kind of look at was, how is Lucas going to grow up? I always think about the kids, and obviously me and his mum are separated. And it makes you think about what you do in front. And what did I say the other day? I seen someone say, it's not about what you say you're going to do. It's what you actually do that matters. Mm-hmm. So I think that I'm not perfect though, because fucking how many times have Terry's like, Pete, get off your phone.
We're
because Lucas is talking.
Fucking dads, we're not perfect, but
Lucas,
we're having a crack.
Like, I've got most people that will listen to this podcast, you when you're on your phone, you can't hear a baby cry.
No. When I'm asleep,
or you're
I
on
can't
TV,
hear
you
a
just
baby
turn the
cry.
TV up. You're like, what does that sound like? Oh, so I've been caught out hell times because we're just inattentive. But there's things where when they grow up, you want to make sure you want to make sure you're the right role model. So just being at home. Also, one thing like seeing how he's going to grow up knowing that his parents are separated, how we treat the other side, everything we do, he's picked up in the first 3 to 5 years. Mm-hmm. Now, he is going to be a handful when he's older because he's got my fucking energy, he's got my attention span. I've already said, man, he better be a sparky or a plumber because that cunt ain't finishing school. He's always just like, da-da-da-da-da. He's so full of energy, he's the fucking best. But being that perfect role model, and you know what, we can only control 50% of his life, because we've got Billy as well, who's at our house, mine and Terry's daughter. Lucas is between 2 households, so Billy's around us all the time. We don't know, like we'll never know what he's getting from both sides. So we can only do
a disparity there, isn't there?
Yeah, so there's 2 different households. So we always run it like we make sure all we can do is the day he walks through our door, we make sure we are the best possible role models. And you know what? It shows though, because both sides of the fence. Lucas, he actually only drinks water. He rarely drinks anything else than water. He might drink a chocolate milk once a month because we only drink water. So we can kind of see that he's got good manners. No, like I never raise my voice. I'm the most chill cunt ever. So like Lucas is the same. He's very soft spoken, fucking rat bag, but he's full of energy. But he's very polite, a little bit of a bitch. But firstborn sons are usually like the bitchy ones. Billy's a fucking psycho. It is true. It's like the girl is a boy.
It's because we wrap them in cotton wool when they first come out. We're like,
the second one, you're like just poof, they just fall off the fucking counter.
Our second-born, our daughter, she's given our firstborn a run for his money.
But I always think, like, you know, the day, like, Lucas doesn't understand the routine. He doesn't see me get up at 4:30. He doesn't see me grinding. And one thing I'm trying to do right now, and you know what? I used to come home and I couldn't switch off. Mm-hmm. I reckon the last year, my work balance, not my work balance, there's no fucking thing. There's no such thing. But I can turn off when I walk in the door now. I never used to be able to. So there's a certain point you hit where my work cup's full, got my family cup. Sometimes you walk in and if you don't fucking shake the day off, you're sitting there checking your phone. But you just got to be aware of what does he see on a daily basis. But then also, as much as everyone's like, it's quality time over quantity. And I know for a fact, I can only play fucking Lego for about fucking 45 minutes max. Just play the Lego hard. And
Drawing,
then surely it's dinner time. That's what I mean. Like, it's just giving the most of that because that's the end of the day. And what someone said the other day, I seen was, when they ask for something, always say yes because one day they won't. I was like, oh, that's a bit rough.
Terry was saying that you're actually the yes man in the house. Sometimes she needs to put a little handbrake on.
Oh, for him?
Kids are like, let's go get a donkey. And you're like, yeah, let's do it.
We got the last one. Nah, look, yeah, Lucas has got me, like, he'll say something fucked up and I'm just like, I just start laughing. He said, don't laugh. And I'm like, I can't. Like the other day he said something and he called me, I think he called me a little bitch or something. And he must have heard me say it somewhere. And I just like, I just started laughing. I just reinforced.
Role model friend. Who am I going to be today?
And you know what? It's going to get worse because Billy, she can have who she wants. I just said the other day, I said I'll borrow a G-Wagon for a 16. I don't give a fuck. She is going to fucking dictate my life. She is a fucking little boss. But I think all I want to do over the next 10, like at the end of the day, if you can see your parents have nice things and They're generally grinding every day. They love what they do and
they
not
love
have
each
two
other.
separate lives. I think that's what you have your work life and your home life. It all needs to be unison. It needs to be one. You need to be able to have no change through it. It is work and home are correlated because you have that, because you have this. And having that balance, and I think it helps because Terry's also in the business, so she understands that. But not everyone's going to be in that boat where their partner is in their business.
Yep.
The worst thing a fucking cunt can do is go home and whinge about your business.
And only give them the negatives and never give them
Because
the
then when you
positives.
ask them to invest in the business, they're like, you just fucking told me this is fucking dog shit. Like, that's where a lot of people go home. And I used to do the same thing. I used to come home and tell Terry all my problems.
Yep.
I just come home and say, yeah, great day.
Because you had no one else to talk to about it, and then you finally get home, you're like, blah, blah, blah,
So
blah.
there it comes down to, it just comes to communication is key and just being a good role model. And look, at the end of the day, we don't know what our kids are going to do, but just showing that, like, you know, like I always say to Lucas, do you know what daddy does? He knows I help people buy houses now. And then he always asks for money. And I go, well, I said, no, I earn my money. I said, I'm not going to spend it on that. I said, where's your money? He's like, I don't have any. And he's like, tries to check my pockets. And he's being funny. But I said, he's like, well, how do I get money? I said, you've got to add value. I always say add value. And you know,
I'm in the trap of saying you have to work for it.
No. You know what Mike and Lucas do? Work at Macca's.
I need to reframe it. I need to go first you work, then you get leverage.
You need to, you need to tell that you need him to work out trading time for money is the shittest thing. I said, as soon as he's of age, he's going to Macca's, 14, whatever it is per hour.
Yep.
Work at McDonald's, work out that you need to trade time for money. And
Work
then
out how much you dislike it early on.
early on, it's the quicker you can work out that. But also he's going to see, well, how do you have it? I said, well, I can't work that many hours. I have to add value. So it's a value add. If you add value, so when it's, I think he finds a way to, so they understand the value of things. So if you can just add value, that's when you get the reward. Rewarded on like value and effort, not the task. So you can they can start to get the association between value adding and then reward, which is to show them that's sales commission.
Then if we go down the path, I love this topic, go down the path of rewarding for effort as opposed to tangible outcome, do we fall in the we're giving everybody a trophy for participation?
I was literally about to say the thing. The same cunts who trade time for money are the same people who get trophies for rocking up. I
saw that a school has banned soccer balls because of the danger of people getting hit in the face.
They're probably the same schools that have kid litters in the toilets are weird cunts.
It's the same schools with the 38 genders and fucking trying to hand out trophies to everybody.
I was at Fringe on the weekend and they got sit down and stand up toilets. I'm like, is that what you call it now?
Okay, Terry also said to me, because this is my favourite part, she said that he's a fun dad. The energy he brings to his clients is the same energy he gives to us. He's a big kid himself. And he's the only dad at school pickup with a supercar. How do you make this game of business and life fun?
We only get one chance. That's it. You fucking die full of regret or give it a have a crack. What's the worst that could happen? If you can't die, there should be, just take the chance. If you literally, if what's the worst that could happen of every chance you get? Fucking dying or going bankrupt. As long as you're not dying, you can go bankrupt. So like, you should just take every opportunity. We only get one shot. Once you're dead, you're dead. You don't even know. You get hit by a bus, you don't even know. Like, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. I'm fucking texting and walking all the time.
I'm not texting and driving.
I put on my life insurance because I fucking could walk out in front of a car. Like, you've only got one shot. Like, and you know what? I don't even tell myself that sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, why do I hesitate? Like, why do I hesitate? And sometimes you just forget, like, fuck, just what's the worst? Like, I've got here this far by winging it. I think the biggest thing to remember is just, we did this for a better life. And you can sit there and live a mediocre, comfortable life and have a life of what ifs, or say, I gave it a fucking hard crack.
And die with zero. Push it all. Push it to the limit.
What's the worst that could happen? You might actually have some fun.
Do you want to win or do you want a participation trophy?
I fucking win. All I want to do is win. And you know what? The more and more I'm starting to compare myself to a lot less people now. Like, the comparison is the thief of joy. I'm at a point now where I used to like look at other people's achievements and go, fuck, I want that. I don't even, I reckon the last 6 months, I'm just like, I am gunning for X and there's only me. Like, I don't think about anything else. And I go, this is what I want to do. And the fulfillment is just getting there. Like, the goal is irrelevant. Like, who gives a fuck if I write $1 billion in a year? Cool.
Well, the zeros will make no real difference.
No. And there's a point where like the financial security, once you get a certain point of money, you don't worry about it anymore. So if I do 16 million settlements in a month or 150, I'm not going to feel any different. More zeros on it, more money, but I've already gone past that. So at this point, I think it's like, what does my team need to look like and how much influence do I have? And like, like, what's the vision of the business for a business that can do that. Now it's like, what can I build? And it's like, I want those fucking next level. I want those challenges. I want those glass ceilings. Like I want bigger problems with bigger zeros.
Yeah.
Like how do I overcome them? Because the person who's fucking got a yacht is sitting on the back going, I've conquered some fucking hard shit.
You know what though? They're probably sitting on their first yacht. Key point here is first yacht. Looking at the other bigger yacht going, if we do what we need to do this year, we do what we need to do next year, I'm going to buy that one.
And you know what? And that's true.
You just moved the goal.
Like when my mate picked up his fucking Lambo from Zagami as we were driving out and as the wheel touched the fucking front and like he'd looked at that car a year before, as the front tire hit the gutter, he just looks at me and he goes,
Lost 200 grand.
I'm buying a plane next.
Oh, okay. I thought he was talking about how much he lost on the asset as soon as he drove out.
And I just laughed. I said, exactly, because the second
a plane.
The second I drove out of the R8 and I'm going, fuck, I can't wait for a hurricane. And at that point, you know, you'll never, ever be satisfied when you reach a goal. Mm-hmm. And that's why I always say to people when I talk about goal setting and that, don't ever set a goal that you can reach. Like if you set a goal to read 100 books in a year, you read 100 books and you won't read again. Mm-hmm. Set goals that don't have a limit. So you might just say, my goal is to self-development and by reading ongoing forever. So it's a goal you can't reach.
It's the mentality of playing infinite games, isn't it?
Yeah. Don't set goals that have like, there's no point setting a goal like, I'm going to do X. Because when you get there, you're going, fuck, I've moved the needle. Like exiting a company for fucking hundreds of million. If you thought that like when you get to the goal, there's a big fucking shallow emptiness there. It's like, what's next? What you do? You're going to do it again because you like the game of business and finance and all that other stuff. So it all just comes down to like, once you actually like, you're in tune with that, it's like the world's a giant playground. You sit there watching people talk about cost of living, but they've got a brand new iPhone. They talk about this, but they want to buy a fucking median house in Sydney on their first wage. I said, you don't deserve shit, cunt. So go live fucking 45 minutes out of the city like your parents did. Mm-hmm. So where's the entitlement? But what do they say? Like, good times create soft people. If you've got times to worry about fucking gender equality and all that crap, I bet you they don't worry about that overseas where fucking that life's in turmoil. Like
survival.
We're not going to get into that kind of shit, but you understand like people are worrying about things that aren't irrelevant. Like why don't you just stop watching TV, pick up a book?
Yeah.
You're worrying about money? Why don't you just review your budget? Or why don't you go do some training? Or go read like I didn't just do this. Like I was reading books for like 15.
It's a game of distraction, isn't it? A game of distraction over development. Why would I improve my life or improve myself when I could just distract?
I don't even know how to get free to air on the TV. I might watch Netflix probably like once a month.
Yeah, when was the last time you watched free to air telly?
Everything can be fixed by discipline and you are the creation of your habits as well. So it all just ties into like if you make shit choices during the day, you're going to get a shit outcome the next day. And that's it. Like you can't just go from skinny to fat. You got to make bad choices over a long period of time. Same with finances, same with business. Everything has a correlation. Day by day, you need to be a little bit better to grow. If you're not, you're stagnant. If you're stagnant, you're dead.
How does the normal guy get better? Tell us about your exact daily structure. How do you hold yourself to a higher standard and set that expectation for the guys listening?
I reckon I said this before. I'm probably the most inconsistent cunt.
Come on, I've seen the 4 a.m., 5 a.m. ice bath. I've seen it.
There was a stage where I did that for fucking 9 months. And
have you stopped now?
I've fucking probably done about maybe 2 or 3 a month because it's just my life's so chaotic at the moment. I started to cut things out. And this is where it gets to get to a point where
I went through that phase exactly.
I'm at a point where some days I wake up, do I go to the gym or do I have to get on top of work? Because 300% rise in leads in January, I've got an expectation for like I want to deliver and you know I'm not putting in the hours. I just got to be a bit better use of my time. So instead of doing weights Tuesday, Thursday, I cut that out and just did cardio. Like, I'm trying to be a bit more selective and that something has a trade-off, but I will get back to an equilibrium where I love my perfect morning is ice bathing, journaling, and journaling just sounds fucking wank, but really I'm just getting shit out of my head that I might not ever come back to.
Because we're fucking nuts and we need to put it down.
So this, I feel this, fuck, this is like, you write it down and it puts a mental thing that you've put it down that if you ever need to come back to it, you'll never remember it. I just write anything. And you know what? I also, look back that if I've got books and books and books, fucking Lucas or Billy can just look and go, wow, fucking that really talks shit a lot of the time.
Yeah, he's got some real weird patterns. I have to share this. Because I've journaled for fucking years and it's the same thing. It's not like every day at the same time.
I'm gratitude for this.
Sorry?
I got gratitude for this.
Yeah, I'm grateful for this. No, mine's real like... it's probably grim to read back to. But then there's my goals and milestones in there, which kind of equals it out. But recently I've started journaling into ChatGPT And I've found it really fucking handy. I spoke about this on an episode yonks ago, one of the first episodes, where I was not ready to share this information with a broad NLP system. But now, since I've started, it's only been a couple of weeks into it, I grabbed my usual framework of questions. I plugged that in and I said, these are my tendencies. And this is kind of, sometimes I'll gloss over questions, and I want every day when I say good morning, we start the questions. And if I'm bullshitting, catch me out, call me, dig deeper. So now I'm in this like 30-minute conversation about like, these are my goals, this is what I'm thinking. And because I've then stacked in, like sometimes there'll be questions about, am I on track? I'm losing focus about what I need to work on at the moment. I'll grab like my financial forecast, I'll dump it in and be like, here's the facts so that you know for future. Then I grab the next thing. Here it is. Here's my ads account. Put it in because I'm like, I need to focus on ads today. I need to focus on customer acquisition costs. And then they're like, we need some data. Bang, in it goes. It's been a very interesting way to reframe the journaling process because I can't bullshit myself with it now.
And people got to remember, just because it works for us doesn't mean it works for them. Because most people everyone's like, why do you ice bath before the gym? I don't give a fuck about recovery. I want to do the hardest thing in the fucking world before I start the day. If I can climb,
I'm not an athlete, bro.
I don't give a fuck about performance, like from a fucking physical aspect. I just don't want to be a fat cunt. But if my ice bath is 0.5 degrees, if I can climb into that cunt for 3 minutes and sit through it, fuck man, calling anyone about anything is fucking easy. It's like decision fatigue. You've only got so many important decisions to the day. I want to do as much as I can before lunchtime because after lunchtime, I'd rather just be moving and stuff like that. So if I can get the hardest things out of the way, and that's ice bath, coffee, journal, gym.
Yep.
I can't even train past 6:37 because I feel like I need to be at work. So I need to get that out of the way as soon as possible.
I want to push back on the on the surge component as well, the surge pull or the push pull of periods or seasons, because you've been on the show previously and you're in a long ice bath streak or like perfect morning streak, and then you get to the point where there is enough pressure in your life that you want to subtract some things because you don't need to have this pressure cooker happening. How do we know when to push and when to pull? Can we feel it?
No, because this ties into that because it's funny because right now, because I don't have anyone around me to benchmark against, and I've had this discussion with other brokers, like I don't even know if I'm pushing hard anymore. I kind of lose focus. Am I giving it all? And that's why I think my needle's 60 to 70 or even less, because I don't actually know who am I comparing it to. I don't even know if I'm...
And you've said you stopped comparing yourself to other people.
And the downside is because it's created this kind of like identity crisis where I'm like, am I pushing hard? Because no one can keep me accountable. I don't even know anymore. And I'm like, but then I see the wins, and you look at the wins over a period of time, you're like, he's fucking killing it. But I'm like, I don't even know if I'm pushing anymore because I don't have a benchmark to work against. So right now I'm trying to work out, like, I've subtracted X because it's not as important because I need to focus on the team right now and the systems and the processes. I don't even know if bringing that back is going to be effective to pull on that lever. And I don't even know, like, maybe I'm looking for more pain. I'll probably go do something else to create that pain, which will also compromise the security buffer on, like, the security, like, foundation I'm building. So I'm at that point where you know what? It's uncharted because I don't fucking know. Everything from here is a bonus. I've done more in 2 years than I thought I'd do in my whole life. And I went from working in a factory 3 years ago to doing probably 7 figures this year. And I'm thinking, fucking wow, like I thought this is like the end game. Now this is a bonus. Like,
I've got the next game for you to play. Someone told me this the other day because I told them my journaling story. I've been very proud of myself. And he told me he said that he did this exercise with chat as well, because we're leaning on it as our bullshit detector, of filling in or starting a conversation with, this is where I came from, this is where I am now, and kind of timestamp it of all the things that I've done and the milestones, and then frame up a question to say, I didn't know that I was going to get here from there. And then where will I be in 5 years' time? Paint me a picture of the things I can't see. And it comes out with like this particular friend's example. He was like, you'll be sitting on the harbour of your luxury home built 3 years ago in Sydney Harbour. You're looking out over your fishing boat that's at the dock down the front. Your children have just been dropped off to private school and you're doing your highest and best work. And he was like... sick.
I've seen someone actually using ChatGPT for something similar like that, where it's you identify the risks in your business because it shows you all the things that you're not thinking about.
Remember my blind spots?
Yeah, showing you the blind spots.
I did that this morning. It was fucking terrifying. I had to go tell Kate, my wife.
She doesn't need to know.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the part about not sheltering your business from your personal life, where I did that in the last company, and this time I'm trying to be open about the goods and the bads on both sides.
Did she care?
Pardon?
Did she care?
No, she thought it was really weird. Like most things I do anyway. Okay, right now, in this moment, what's the biggest challenge you're facing?
The uncertainty of scalability. So I'm really trying to focus on building the back end. I'm pulling on the levers of processing deals versus bringing new business in. But I think probably the last 3 months I've gotten really a fair understanding of how much I can turn the tap on. Like I can create new business like a machine. Like I just know I need to make videos that are engaging and it creates very, very high convertible sales, which is new leads in. So now I'm at that point where I'm just trying to work out like, what is the most important lever? Am I pulling on the content more, or I'm trying to pull on the process, or, and you know what? It's not a bad problem to have. They're my two biggest concerns right now: more business or processing. It's not a bad problem.
It's not bad at all.
I don't like the other area where
But it's an internal conflict.
Yeah, and
because you don't know where your priorities are.
Yeah, the other thing that someone pointed out the other day is key man risk. My highest risk in the business is me. If something that happened to me, the business falls over. That's something I'm starting to look at now, and which applies to most business owners. And you'd be surprised how many business owners, trade-based or anything, have never thought about income protection, life insurance, any sort of like that. They're just no protection whatsoever, and they are on the tools main income earner. It's huge. It's fucking.
You are turning into a fucking dad, aren't you?
And that's it. Like you got to think about that. Like key man risk is probably my biggest thing right now. But you know what? There's a systems of process insurance for that. So it's all just going to that next level, which is more like just thinking like a CEO, building the team out. Like I think within the next 12 to 15 months, we'll get to about 20 staff, maybe 25, 30. And that's just a part of that's going to bring its own problems. And you know what? I'm at a point now where we'll just figure it out. Yep. I've been saying that from day one. Fuck it, I'll figure it out.
What about your definition of success, mate?
I've already done it. I don't know what else. Like that's it. From
This is me.
This is it. Like house, car, recurring income, portfolio. Like it doesn't matter if you're worth fucking 5 mil or 100 mil. It's more than you need. It's just a game. Yeah. Now it's just
because you've got something you can sink your teeth into that can't be finished.
Grow other small businesses I want to think of. Fucking education. I love speaking on stage. I fucking love that. That's talking to people, educating. That's where I see myself going as well.
When does Pete's podcast come out? Not your jam?
Like I think there's such a gap in financial literacy, and everyone wants to target on kids and schools. I said, no, you got to teach the mums and dads. Don't let them fuck up their kids. And that's it. Like how many people I sit across from and I can hear their parents fucking mindset
the
around money.
mentality
I can hear it straight from, as soon as that first phone call, I can hear their parents.
Yep.
Educating them will change the trajectory of their kids. And
this is where your further higher purpose is going to come out.
100%. Because if we can change the mindset of the 25 to 35-year-old, when we get to retirement, there's going to be nothing left. It's going to be you have to be self-sustained. If we can change that now, the kids are going to be fine. Because whatever they do, if we can start to change their habits, their kids will follow. If they start making better financial decisions, the kids will automatically do it. So I think targeting the 25 to 30-year-olds, and that's just stopping people doing dumb shit with money. That's it.
Peter Savage, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Sam.
Thank you, mate.